We've had some interesting events,
Oh my God.
and there's more to come.
Yes, we have.
I'm really curious about the little metal wings behind you. Are you going to give us a little
Yes, my little
tutorial on
metal
that?
bionic wings. That is the instrument I call the Mighty Surge.
Oh, look at that.
It's the instrument that I was playing. That I built that. I built all of that in 1977. It is a modular analog synthesizer.
Okay.
It means that, I don't know if you can see the patch cords and things, that in order to get sounds you have to patch things together.
It looks like a huge calendar. A little bit like numbers, maybe, I don't know.
So where's October? And it is an electronic instrument, and a lot of the music that I've made has been made on this instrument, and it's a very versatile and pretty powerful instrument. And that was what I was playing when I was watching people moving slowly with their eyes closed and all kinds of things like that. So it has all the lights that let me know what things are doing, and so it's been around since 1977. The Way Home, Paralander was done on it. Lullaby for the Hearts of Space album was done on it. That was a live album I did on the radio in 1980.
Like just spontaneous, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there was Stephen Hill and then Anna Turner had a show called Music from the Hearts of Space, and it was on KPFA in Berkeley on, I think, Saturday or Sunday nights, and it was like almost an all-night show. It was a late-night show, and Stephen was playing, music, space music, we were calling it then, but meditative music and all that stuff. It was before New Age was even coined, so he'd been playing this music, and one day he was doing a fundraiser show for NPR and the station, and was hosting a day long of people coming into the studio and playing live. And I had come up from Continuum. This was in 1980. I was still playing there, and I came up from there and set everything up. And Continuum was a beautiful place. It was a beautiful room with a parquet floor and quad sound system and plants and things like that. It was a lovely room to create in, high ceiling. And I get into the studio, and it was kind of like the Warsaw Ghetto in there. I mean, it was like the equivalent of a bare bulb hanging in the room, and all this gray, stuff. And studios back then always smelled like old cigarette smoke and stuff. Then I got there in the morning, and I was trying to patch something up, and nothing was coming. It just wasn't. I couldn't get it. And I had 30 minutes to go before I was to play. And Stephen wanted a kind of lullaby. He wanted me to be the last act, and to usher in day's end, sort of thing. And I pulled all the patch cords out, and I was in there patching while another wonderful musician named Jordan De La Sierra was in playing the piano, which was about 10 feet away from me. And so I'm patching as quietly as I can, patching up all this stuff, and what came out was the Lullaby for the Hearts of Space music.
Just serendipitously, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was kind of funny too, because I'd gotten all this stuff going, and then I was going to play soprano sax over it, and I picked up my soprano sax, and I turned around by the microphone, and it jumped because there were about 20 people with their noses pressed up against the control room window watching. All these people had come in to the room Stephen was in and were standing in front of the window staring at me, and I was in my own little zone here, and I turned around like, whoa.
Kevin, how many instruments do you play?
A bunch.
More than two?
Yes.
More than
Many
10?
more than two. I play most of the woodwinds, saxophones, flutes, clarinets. I used to play oboe. I can't say I play oboe anymore. I certainly remember all the fingerings, but any oboists out there know that It's all about embouchure and reeds.
Yes.
And if you do not keep those muscles together, it's just going to sound terrible. And keyboards and guitar and bass and, whatever's around.
What was your first instrument that got you hooked to?
It was a piano. There was a piano in the house, and my sister was taking piano lessons. She was 5 years older than me, so she's 9 and I was 4. And my sister tells a story of her, like agonizing over these lessons. And she said, and I would get up on the bench with my feet not touching anything and play her lesson perfectly. And she just, so that was that was really my first instrument. And then my brother John was a folk singer in the 50s. He was much older than me. So he was already out, this is back in the folk days. So he was hitchhiking with his guitar all over the country to the hot spots, Boston and Cambridge and Vancouver. And these were all sort of beatnik folk song high spots, as William probably knows.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was singing and writing music, and he would, stop in at home, and I would see this, his cases with stickers and stuff from various places, and he would pull out his guitar and play, and I was just, that was just the best thing. And so I, when I could find it, we never really had anything new. We had an old beat up piano, and we had anything that I got was usually old and beat up. And the first instrument I got, I was like maybe 10 or 12, was a saxophone, and I found out years later that it was a horrible piece of crap that got me into so many bad habits. I went in with, I went into college. It was my first lesson with a private lesson, and I thought I was doing okay. And I'm sitting in this room with Jim was his name. He's a very, very large fellow in a little cinder block practice room. And he was taking up most of the room. But I'm sitting there, and he said, he puts out some music. He said, play this. So I'm going along playing it. And I remember him looking at me. He's like looking at me and then looking at this horn. And I see him, his eyebrows like furrow up as he's looking at this horn. And then he just goes like this.
Oh my goodness.
He just held his nose, and then I just kind of tapered off and stopped. And he goes, I don't ever want to see that horn in here again. Here, use mine. And he handed me his Selmer, and it was like, oh. I thought, oh my God. So it took me months to, I still didn't get a new high. I wound up getting a baritone saxophone, which I absolutely adored. But having not a great horn, I had to relearn how to play it almost.
So we need a horn lesson. You mentioned, what was that called? Selmer? Is that what you said? The horn? That he said, play this one?
Yeah, to play his saxophone. He was sitting there with I had an alto and he had an alto, and he handed me a Selmer, a Selmer is like the gold standard of saxophones historically. There are other really good horns too, but that was a good Selmer Mark 6, and he handed that to me, and I just went, oh my God. All the technique that I had developed were compensating for, poor mechanics on this old beat-up horn. Because that's part of my history. One of the reasons that I build things is because I didn't have things. I didn't get new stuff. I knew kids whose parents would get them amps and guitars and stuff, but I would have to find something and fix it up and build it and try to restore it from just junk. And so it actually got me into the kind of creative stuff. That's why I became a studio engineer. I could fix everything in the studio, and I could just build things and build electronics and all that sort of stuff. So it served me well, in later life.
So where do you notice that spilling over into other areas of your life? Where you can fix things, and you know what I'm saying? Where does that spill over?
Oh, well, I'm the guy who fixes everything on this property.
Oh, yeah?
Got to fix the dishwasher, got to fix the, whatever it is. And so there's just a certain mechanical understanding that I have. I work on our cars. At least I used to. I have some shoulder situations that don't allow me to climb underneath cars at the moment. So.
Are you feeling better, Kevin? Are you feeling better?
Pardon me?
Are you feeling better? Are you feeling better?
Yeah, today's a good day.
Nice.
The,
Do you
the,
have?
the now is good. That's all I'm going to say.
Did you do any special music for yourself for healing?
No, I mean, but you know what's interesting is that I was in the studio the other day and I just was doing something else, and I've got on my studio computer, I've got an iTunes, playlist, but it's all my music, because sometimes I would do a mix and I would put it over there, and I want to come back without having to set everything up, so I just listen to the pieces on iTunes. So I just let the channel music, the 3 albums, just play as I'm doing stuff, and it was I got something from it.
Yeah.
It was really, because I don't listen to that stuff, usually, but just hearing it go, it's like, wow, because I don't remember recording any of it, which is really nice, but it's the energetic, vibrational quality of it that is really what that's about.
Yes,
It's not about the composition so much as it is, just there's a real communication and connection and vibration.
It's about the interplay, huh?
Yeah.